There go Kathleen and one of our volunteers in the Sunrise Trail here on the Sea of Galilee. And this morning there's something very special happening. You won't believe this. Well, first of all, somebody, or I don't know, so we always think that somebody else did it, but I don't have my gimbal, so it'll be a little bit rockier today. And I know I left it in the sacristy yesterday, so somebody must have tidied up there and maybe put it in the media center, and that's locked, so part of life, So if you find it a little less smooth this morning, it's because I don't have the gimbal. And this morning there's a mystery person here with us. You can see Mount Hermon again, just peeping up there behind the ridge. It's very faint on the camera, but it's just up there behind the ridge if you can see Mount Hermon. We have a delayed sunrise this morning with the cloud, but now it's coming out nice and strong. So here's the mystery guy. And he's actually from I-24 News. And they're doing a special on Magdala. And so you might see something of this on it eventually. The birds are busy in the early morning. That's so interesting that that's when the birds are busiest, at the first light. And also when the sun sets, they're very busy, chirping, singing. Some of the bushes here, there are lots of them in the evening time. It's a very interesting phenomenon, how that daylight is so important, the celebration of a new day and the Thanksgiving at the end of the day. So I'm just going to go walking along a bit along here. Beautiful reflections of the trees on the lake and the mountain. You can see the mountain reflecting here in front of the chairs there in the water. So a big part of the theme today of the first reading in the Psalms is a constant in the history of salvation, the theme of idolatry, of humans focusing on things that are secondary. It's not the source of life. Focusing on things that don't give life. They give some life, they reflect life, like the water reflection here. But the sun is the source of the light. But at the end of the day, the sun isn't even the source of the light. And that's the perspective the believer brings, that there's something more, bigger, beyond that reality. That's the call of the prophets. It's the big challenge. Yesterday I had a conversation with a man who declares he's an atheist, a very scholarly man, who is very competent in his field, who has suffered a lot. And then you also realize that faith is a gift. You can have credulity, just being credulous and believing any old thing that comes your way, So the mystery of faith is very, very involved, very complex like the human heart is. It's asking very big questions. And really for us as Christians, in the mystery of faith comes down to very practical things, just respecting the other, the dignity of the other, the image and likeness of the Maker in the other. And that's tough for us at times. It takes a lot of giving, so it's a relationship. It's not a theory about the universe, it's a relationship. It's discovering that each person there in front of me is, in a way, the incarnation of God's presence. We say that very clearly about Jesus. But whatever you do to the least of these, you do to me. And God took a little bit of clay, a little bit of dust, and he breathed it into it and gave it life. And he called him Adam. What a great mystery of reality. We are so fragile and so weak, and yet we rise to such great heights. We can build these incredible buildings like we see here in Tiberias. Great engineering. They're made to deal with seismic realities. If there's an earthquake, they're prepared for the code of earthquake structures. And that's quite an accomplishment that we've been able to measure that human beings and engineers have been able to measure these things and provide the necessary provision, equilibriums in buildings and structures that can be strengthened to resist earthquakes. So we have extraordinary abilities to understand our world. The mystery of the human being in the world, and the conviction of the believer that behind every gift, and it's hard to dispute that this is not a gift this morning, there's a giver, the giver of life. And for communities of believers that have handed on a faith for generations, then it's very difficult, if that's their only experience, to meet an atheist. Or maybe we just start with believers who know about the existence of God and yet really give their allegiance to things that are not God and disregard his presence, are able to trample on human beings for the sake of material gain and still profess faith. And that's really the core of the prophet Hosea today, as he calls out the people and with words of God. They sow the wind and they shall reap whirlwind, not wheat, and reap bread, reap grain for bread. And altars which should be an occasion for holiness and sanctity become an occasion for sin and false worship. Remember how Jesus said to us, if you remember going to the altar that somebody has something against you, go first and reconcile with them. And then come and bring your gift of praise, your gift of thanksgiving, your expression of faith, because the two go hand in hand. And coupled with the return to slavery. And these aren't themes of the past, they're themes of the present. Big challenges for us every day. The house of Israel trusts in the Lord. That's a beautiful prayer in the Psalm, but it's also it's really a teaching as well, and it's really a call to go there, to rise to that, to learn to trust, to learn to grow, to learn to be there, to really be trusting in the Lord. I can't resist going down to see this flower here. They are so tiny, this marvel. And if God makes a flower like this, that lasts a day, a few days, with such beauty, such engineering, the DNA, the whole reproductive process that's in every one of these flowers. And they have lasted for thousands of years, probably, and who knows, I don't know the history of these flowers. You know, it's just absolutely off the charts. Then the house of Israel trusts in the Lord. If the Lord takes care of the flowers that wither by day, how not will he take care of us? And just to wrap up this morning, that last line of Jesus, the harvest is great, but the laborers are few. Pray for more laborers. And what's very beautiful is to see in this whole internet world and media, so many people are also present